because it's in the summer where you should see a low death period.
Especially in the boosters, like for the southern hemispheres, like you have a peak, across the booster will roll out basically everywhere at the same time around the world. And in the southern hemisphere, it's a trough, just explained, so we should have a trough. But then you have an actual winter peak, actual booster peak, and another winter peak.
Yes.
So that's everywhere in all the 17 countries we looked at, where data is good in the southern hemisphere, we saw that peak.
And something you never saw before.
Exactly.
All right, we're putting his links, his reports out, their studies at Real Alex Jones on Twitter and Infowars.com. Get them, spread them. Everything is really going viral now. They did this presentation months ago, but it's just now exploding. Thanks to Brett Weinstein exposing it on Tucker Carlson's broadcast. I know of at least 10 major groups that have had similar findings. You've heard them here on the show: medical groups, insurance company groups, stock market groups that live by numbers. And some of the best numbers we know are mortality numbers. There's nothing more conclusive than being dead. And so you see the spikes, as we just showed, beginning right when the shots and boosters happen. And I don't need to be a pathologist to know you shoot somebody in the head with a gun, they fall over and die. The gun did it. Well, now we have the scientists and folks to explain exactly what was in the gun and why it did kill him. So Dennis Rancourt holds a BSc and MSc degrees in physics and PhD in physics from the University of Toronto. He was a National Science and Engineering Research Council, NSERC of Canada's International Postdoctoral Candidate in National Science Laboratories in France and the Netherlands. He then became a National NSERC University Research Fellow at the NSERC-URF in Canada, and a lead researcher and professor at the University of Ottawa for 23 years, where he attended the highest academic rank of tenured full professor. He is an interdisciplinary research scientist and has published over 100 articles in peer-reviewed science journals in many different areas of science. He is presently co-director of the research and nonprofit Correlation Research in the Public Interest, correlation-canada.org. You'll find him on X at Dennis Rancourt. And again, as I said, correlation-canada.org. This is going to go super viral. We already have conservatively 4 million people tuned in right now, just on our streams and talk radio. Millions more on X. So a lot of folks followed you.
Now they didn't get that, but that's what they wanted. Let's be clear. They're operatives.
So I think you're the expert on this. Wherever you want to start and begin, and over the next hour and 50 minutes, we've got a few breaks to take, but I'm going to try my best to give you the floor, at least in the first hour. Then I've got a lot of things I'd like to point out and questions I'd like to have. But thank you so much, Doctor, for joining us, and thank you for your work.
Now that's part of the course. Of course,
it's my great pleasure. I really enjoy your work, and I've followed you since your early days as a journalist, and I really appreciate what you're doing for the world and for people around the world. Well, listen, all-cause mortality means just counting deaths, as you mentioned. It is the hardest data you can have, and it's data that nations collect very, very dependably. They actually are interested in counting deaths and knowing who died, when they died, what age they were, and so on. So this is extremely well tabulated. Deaths and births are the best statistics you can get from a nation, or from a state, or from a province, any jurisdiction. So we study that data, and we've been studying it for a long time. The first paper we wrote describing the features of this kind of data was back on the 2nd of June 2020. So we've been doing this for a long time. We've written over 30 large scientific reports about this kind of stuff.
Because that was the Reichstag moment. Now, if you don't know about the Reichstag, Nazis burned their own building, blamed their opposition, and then assumed full power, full authority. So the Democrats going to do that next in 2024? Just cancel the election? Are we going to see a cyber attack? Are we going to see a U.S. Navy vessel bombed? Are we going to see something so that they can totally assert themselves? Blame it on Russia. Blame it on Iran. Blame it on whoever? That's what we have to be on the lookout for. But you know what? Here's the final thing that I think is the most important. That came from today. Because aside from the facts and fiction of January 6th, that you know what the truth is, I know what the truth is. The unfortunate thing is that the American left and liberals have no clue what the truth is. And what occurred to me listening to the Krasenstein, who have agreed to come on this show in the future, by the way, to debate me on my sentencing in January 6th. So I do intend to have them on the show when I get back, and I assume they will honor their word. But it occurred to me listening to them speak why the American left is so dangerous.
Like NPA, non-playable NPCs.
Of ignorance and arrogance.
Yeah, because they knew when they were wrong.
Is encapsulated in right now, and it is the most dangerous combination in politics that you can ever imagine. It's what led to the French Revolution. J'accuse, and then off with his head. I think the only thing that outweighs the liberal, leftist Americans' ignorance is their arrogance. And we saw a perfect example of that in the debate Saturday. When Krasenstein and Destiny, I think was the other guy's name, said there was never police waving people into the building. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, this has been well documented. There's multiple videos, multiple angles, multiple locations, and that's just straight up ignorance. To say that there was never a stand down of police, to say that Trump never requested more police, again, that's just well documented facts. And they just sit there smugly smirking, saying, oh, none of that exists. And then they get into my case. And they start saying things about my case that are clearly untrue. And for them to go on there and speak so confidently about my case, when it's clear, they never even read the sentencing documents. They have no clue the details of any of my charges. And so when you see that, it's the deadliest combination in politics, ladies and gentlemen, ignorance and arrogance. And that's what we're getting from the American left right now. And when they have that, the American media can do what? It can trick them into burning cities down, burning buildings, attacking police officers, attacking citizens in the streets, just like we've seen so many times most recently in the summer of 2020. But this is what we're dealing with. So these are truly historic times, and that's why it's so hard for me to stay away. But I do intend on being back next week. So I hope you'll continue to support the show by shopping at ipinforwars.com so that there will be a show. I know you will continue to support us because we're still here despite all the attacks, all the censorship, and yet still we are on the air, and that alone is a victory. I appreciate Harrison for keeping my seat warm, and all the other guests and guest hosts that are going to be joining us. See, here at InfoWars, we like to provide you with great guest hosts. A lot of other people, when they take time off, they put so much love in the seat because they want to look even better when they take time off, and let their audience miss them even more when they take time off. We like to put talent and smart, informed people in the chair when we're away, because that's what it's all about here at InfoWars. So I appreciate Harrison for doing that. Now, I only planned on doing one segment. I know Harrison has a lot of news. Harrison, I'll volunteer myself for other segment. If you got any questions or anything you want to go over with me,
I absolutely do. I'm gonna keep you here for one more segment, because I think the way you just broke down arrogance and ignorance, I think we need to delve a little bit more into that, because I think that is an absolute brilliant way to illustrate, as you rightfully point out, like the biggest problem that we have right now. I also have the video of Matthew Graves, U.S. District Attorney, saying they're going after everybody. So basically in D.C. at this point. I mean, it's been 3 years, and they're still ramping up the prosecution. So we'll show that video. I'd love to get into that on the other side. Stay with us.
29 years on air. All I wanted to do was warn the people about the globalists.
You should have touched
job I can is tell the truth of an accurate, and we are on record as the most accurate there are. And I've tried to sell products to fund ourselves. Unlike other communist revolutionaries that rob banks and kidnap people, we don't do that. We try to bring you products that really work. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm scared of this product. It's so powerful. It's the breakdown product after your sales process.
Get in there.
Methylfolate with high quality organic complex. This stuff is rocket fuel. It's not a stimulant. It energizes your cells. And then everything else you take just supercharges it. It's so insane. It's foundational energy. The strongest formula out there at InfoWarsStore.com. It doesn't just energize this operation against the tyrants. It energizes you. It's foundational energy now. InfoWars tells you the truth about what's happening next. Visit InfoWars.com/show and support the InfoWars. InfoWarsStore.com. We're extending the Christmas sale, New Year's, mega sale. Everything is 25 to 60% off. Store-wide free shipping. Double pay for inflation. That's the good news. The bad news is a bunch of the best-selling products like Rainforce Plus, Rainforce Ultra, DNA Force Plus, Body's Ultimate Turmeric Formula, the strongest turmeric out there, incredible, inflammation, joints, everything, your whole body. X2, they're all about to sell out or close to selling out. Most of these will be sold out within board. It takes 3 to 6 months to build products to get them because they're all top flight, triple tested, the very best. So if you want DNA Force Plus or you want Shake Max, this is not a sellout. If you want these great, amazing products, or you haven't tried them, you really should try them. Go read about them. We have a lot of them come back in. We have plenty of them for now. That's
got your wax.
Same thing. Dietary boost, clean out your blood, help your cardiovascular system.
Got your wax, girl.
Super concentrate. We've also got back in stock Ultra 12, the highest quality organic B12. It's back in stock at InfoWarsStore.com. It's discounted InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139. And it is these products that enable own resistance to globalists. I can just say, give me straight donations. We have a donate button. It's the support link at InfoWarsStore.com. And that's great. I think what's the now. So tell me it's not the money after the credit card fees or debit card fees. This, ladies and gentlemen, are products that you're going to love. And if you just try them, I know you're going to love them. Most of you have never ordered the products. Less than 1% of our audience we know ever ordered something. Great, fine. At least spread the word about the broadcast. At least pray for us. At least take links out and send them to people on email and text message. Bypass the censors at Facebook and Google and the rest of it. X isn't enough. X is great. We're reaching conservatively 10 million people view a day. That's very conservative, okay? We're getting 20 million views a day, but we know that's just here. About half of maximum watching. So 20 million a day, but it's really 10 million. 10 million people a day. It's your personal product that allows us to weather the storm, the legal attack, demonization, very tricky. And then you also get amazing products at the same time at InfoWarsStore.com. Down and out sleep support. Back in stock. Super strong, super natural. How about the immune system? Deep sleep is one of the most important things. We also have Winter Sun back in stock. The highest quality D3 organic at the time. Most infections, viruses, replication is from life vitamin D3. This is so important during the winter. You're not getting it from the sun. Your skin isn't producing it. InfoWarsStore.com. Get Winter Sun. Everybody should get it. That's a no-brainer. It's absolutely essential you do that. And it keeps us on air. Winter Sun back in stock. InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139. I thank you all for keeping us on air. I wanted you here with me to expand on this.
What up, Louis?
My audio here. Arrogance and ignorance, and the combination, the danger of the combination between arrogance and ignorance. And so just during the break, I just searched those two terms, arrogance and ignorance.
Ooh, look at that pass.
A lot of actual scientific literature talk about the relation between these two things, saying actually that arrogance is often a sign of ignorance. Like you're ignorant about something, there's, I don't know, I guess it's humility that's the opposite of these things, right? Humility says, yeah, I may not know, I could be wrong, who's to say, I think I know what's right, but if you tell me something that's different, then I'll change my mind. And it takes a certain level of humility and a lack of self-importance. And it's that self-importance that the left just oozes. They're better than you, they know more than you, even when they haven't even started to look at this information. So I just wanted to keep you on to expand on this a little bit. Arrogance and ignorance, and the toxic brew that's created when these two things exist in the same individual, as it seems to exist on everybody on the left. And Epstein and the 𝙄𝙉𝙁𝙊𝕎𝔸ℝ𝕊 sort of as a paramount example of this, but they're not the only example, obviously.
Well, that debate or argument, whatever you want to end up calling it, was so important. And this is why political debate is so important. And in my mind, this is why the American left avoids it like the plague. Because most of them know they're going.
What up, G Queen? I'm here. Yo, there's probably a little delay from what you see on the screen to, yeah. Just so you know.
Verse liberal, accepting thing to do or say. They don't actually do any research of their own. I mean, that was shocking.
Okay,
I remember tuning in and when they said Trump never requested National Guard. There was no stand down of police.
You heard me, right, Green Queen?
And Alex just had his facepalm moment. It's just like, oh my gosh. Like, oh my gosh. Like, these people really have no idea what's going on. And they vote. And they vote. And they have influence. And they influence young people.
All right, boo-boo.
I mean, you take it. I mean, they don't just vote. lead thinkers on the left. These are people that the left points to as being, you know, brilliant and tuned in, and they listen to their advice. So, because then you take it to just the average person.
If you want to see my stream better, yo, go on Twitch, but it's whatever.
Every day they're talking about political stuff. Every hour of every day they're on Twitter engaging in this stuff, and yet they still don't know the most basic facts. Now think about the average person that's got a job and kids and pets, and they're, you know, up to their ears in debt. And they don't look into this stuff at all. Imagine how ignorant they must be.
Well, and I mean, there were just so many examples of that, so many moments of that, and it's just so frustrating because you just wish that somehow you could crack through that thick, liberal, low IQ, arrogant skull, and then just if you could just crack, if you could just get a little fracture in there and somehow just get the truth in there, then maybe they can see the world for what it really is. Maybe they can see how they've been fooled.
I literally look the same way I did yesterday, Green Queen. But thank you.
And accepting the things that we've realized and accepted is just too discomforting, right? And it's not politically correct. You know, it's nice and cool to be politically correct and stay on that side of the aisle. I'm sure you saw that video. In fact, I may have actually found it from you, where a individual in a compilation of John Adams talking about how the anti-vaxxers were right, and
I love hearing it.
That with your commentary and my commentary and Alex's commentary, and you said you guys won, and we're saying we didn't win. This was not a win or loss. The win would have been if people would have listened to us and not taken it. But unfortunately, that wasn't what happened. I have family members that took it. Now, guess what? They're on blood thinners the rest of their life because they had a negative side effect. So, I mean, that's exactly what we're talking about. We accepted the world for what it is. That's what it is. We know the world that we live in, as dark and scary as that acceptance might be, it's liberating and it's just the reality. So you can come here and say, oh, the cops never waved people into the Capitol. You're not living in reality. You can sit here and say, the feds actually open on January 6th. You're not living in reality. You can sit here and say, they had no idea the vaccines were going to be side effects of these smart problems. You're not living
Watch
in reality.
that goal.
They didn't know.
Watch that goal, Green Queen.
You're not living in reality. This is a left or right issue. We might land on the right side, politically speaking. We might have conservative values.
Friendly UAV online. 50 seconds remain.
But this is about common sense and reality. Exactly. And we're at this point now, and I think that this is kind of a much referred to as a global mind virus. You truly have a mind virus. You don't live in reality anymore. But then there's the ignorance.
10 seconds remaining.
Come on, man.
If you're about to go on a debate about January 6th, and you haven't even done a modicum of research enough to understand any of the circumstances, that there were obviously confidential informants there, that there were obviously agitators and instigators there, opposed against Trump supporters, there was obviously a police and National Guard stand down, the facts are there, and there were police aiming people into the building, then you're not even trying. You're not even giving it a basic effort. Quite frankly, this is my point. This is why I switched from sports to politics when I was 24 years old. So I guess a decade ago. This is why I switched from sports to politics. Because for the first time ever, I tuned into the mainstream news and I started looking at information that was relevant to politics and current events. And it hit me like a ton of bricks, like, oh my gosh. People are following uninformed individuals. People are following literally fake news. It took me one day of watching mainstream media, cable news for current events and politics. It took me one day to realize that. And I could never look back. I said, I have to take my talents and my abilities as a broadcaster and a journalist and a reporter. I have to be that guy. I have to tell the truth. And then I found out, okay, there are other organizations out there. There are other individuals out there. Of course, there are people love in the mainstream media. They don't get promoted on these mainstream.
The enemy has the flag.
But yet here we are, and InfoWars still fighting the good fight. And I mean, yeah, it's got to happen. Hey, you were right. That's fine. We were right.
Oh, wow.
It's sad that this is the world we live in, and it's sad that we have to sit here hear time after time again, Alex, you're right, jar. You know, it's not there. You can't find a jar on the earth big enough to fill it, and yet here we are, right time and time again, and still people don't understand. You don't make this stuff up. We're not conspiracy theorists. We're students of the world that surround us. We're students of history. We have logic and common sense that most people have brainwashed out of them, and we're just trying to get people to understand. This is the world you live in.
100%. And I talked about this last week, because when I was at a wedding the weekend before, I brought up the fact that the CIA sold crack in the LA ghettos in the 80s as an example of something that I thought the person I was talking to would know about, because it's so well known. And she said to me, isn't that a scared way to live? Aren't you just living in fear, thinking that's the type of thing the government did? And I had to go, look, this is just what happened. I don't know what to tell you. It's true. It's been documented. There's been congressional hearings. It's not to me whether or not to determine.
What the fuck, bro? You're a fucking idiot.
You hit the nail on the head there when you said that.
Yeah, no problem.
We've broken out of the fear. We're just looking at the world for what it is. It's not living in fear to, see the bull running at you and try to come up with, how to grab its horns to take it down. Owen, sure, I'm going to let you get back to relaxation. Owen will be back on next Monday. Thank you so much for joining us. Honestly, we could go on for the whole hour, but I'm going to let you have your vacation. I'll get into some of this news on the other side. Owen?
Yeah, I had a fucking trash-ass teammate, but, I mean, I'm not good either. Like, I'm talking like I'm good, but I'm definitely better than I guess, I don't know, whatever.
Health clinics, bring my blood tests every few years, and also get EKGs and things on my heart. And I noticed that at both the facilities, the hottest thing with the top medical doctors was methylfolate. And they said, listen, we tested your genes. I did it at 2 different places. 2 expensive tests, not like, 23andMe. Came back and showed where my genes are outstanding and where they're not. And a lot of Northern Europeans have 2 to 3 of the 4 genes operating with the mitochondria, the most basic part of the cell, broken. I have the first 3 broken, 2 completely, 1 halfway broken, and then the third's fully operational. So I get something like 12% of the energy that goes into my cells comes out. And there's other parts of my cells that operate 100%, which is mutant level. So I'm like weak in other areas, Superman in others. And that's how most people are. You're really strong in some things, weak in others. I didn't listen to them. And then about a year ago, I was back to another checked out, and the nurse practitioner said, Alex, you're not taking...
Hey, Green Queen.
You need to get our brand, souped up as B vitamins and things where you get...
You said what? What looks like a butterfly? What looks like a butterfly? What are you talking about? In the wax paper? You're talking about in the wax paper? Yeah. They kind of all, it all kind of looks like that, I guess. Hold on. Hold on. Let me see. Show me. Show me again. Let me see. No, I just wasn't looking. Just show me again. All right, whatever. Whatever. I know. It looks like, you know what it looks like? It looks like if it was white. Look like some nut. Haha. I'm just letting you know what it looks like. Alright, who's honking the horn outside? Jesus fucking Christ. The fuck is going on out here? Beep. My man, you hear outside? Man just leaning on the horn. My man is leaning on that shit. Alright, we're gonna have to take this off of there. Uno momento. Here we are.
And it's even better from a national supplier that's veteran owned and veteran operated. It's powered by the company Minuteman Coffee. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the best tasting, best smelling, strongest coffee that I have ever drank. It is game changing. All you gotta do is buy a bag of it and try it.
Yeah, I got no booze.
Which is the Thunder Operation A360 win. Go to InfoWarsStore.com right now for Escape the Prison Planet Light Roast. That's the strongest. The amazing Medium Roast Wake Up America. And finally, the best tasting Dark Roast Tip of the Spear, now exclusively available at InfoWarsStore.com. Get your coffee now. If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
Peeling back the layers of today's event to reveal the core truth. War Room with Harrison Smith. All right, folks, we are back on the War Room. It's been quite an exciting show so far with Jason Bermas now in the studio. Great appearance by 𝙄𝙉𝙁𝙊𝕆. He'll be back next Monday behind the desk, but I wouldn't be surprised. And he, of course, is invited and welcome to join us every day if he wants. After all, every day there's something that's worth talking about. But for the last half of the show, it's just you and me, folks. Although I may open up the phone lines, so stay tuned for that. We'll open up the phone lines probably in the third hour. We have a lot to talk about before then. Still, I'm just kind of obsessing now about this point that Owen made of arrogance and ignorance and the combination of those two. You know, everything's so inverted these days. Like, not just wrong, not just incorrect, but actually inverted. The opposite of reality. Black is white, white is black, war is peace. You know, everybody knows these things. But especially when it comes to a place like InfoWars, where we're accused of spreading mis and disinformation. 90% of what I do here is debunking mainstream media. What we do is we confront the lies in the mainstream media and correct them. We almost never are the ones like
starting conspiracy theories,
coming up with stuff. We don't come up with anything. We respond to what the mainstream media says.
That's a fact.
We react to the mainstream media's lies in order to correct them. We debunk things.
Hold on.
Misinformation. Just like conspiracy, you know, saying that we are conspiracy theorists, we're coming up with these conspiracies. We're just reading what's in the mainstream media. It's all right there. And you would think that arrogance would come along with knowledge. But the reality is, and again, ever since Owen said it, I just typed in those words, arrogance and ignorance, into Google and just scientific papers. And it's pretty well established how these things are correlated, actually. And when you really think about it, it starts to make sense when you differentiate confidence from arrogance. And arrogance has this attitude of condescension, looking down, thinking you're better than somebody else. And it's almost a necessary thing to have when you are ignorant and unconfident in your ignorance. And this was something I remember very distinctly from learning this probably when I was 15. When I was 15, I was going to work going to film weddings for this company. One really, it was a guy and his family, and they would go out and film weddings, and I wanted to work with them, but I was 15, so the boss, Jack, was like, I want to meet your parents. We all went out to dinner so he could talk to my parents about me working for him and all that sort of stuff. And at one point, my dad was sort of making a joke, and he was going, so you're a videographer.
Oh, I hear you choking. Not on my cock.
The room and leer at one another. And remember my boss, Jack, and everybody sort of laughed, and he laughed.
Oh my gosh, was that Kevin Costner?
I'm sorry, what does leer mean?
That's where it's at.
In that situation where like somebody says something you can't quite hear him, you just sort of laugh along. Yeah, totally, absolutely, totally.
That is where
it's
at.
They don't ask you a follow-up question because you didn't actually hear him. And it was such a revelation to me of just like, you don't have to pretend you know something that you don't. You don't know the definition of the word leer, right? It means to like glare. It means to like stare at angrily. If you don't know the definition of that, there's no shame in just being like, I don't know what that word means. What are you saying? What are you describing? It was just sort of a revelation to me of being like, all right, confidence isn't the ability to know everything and do everything and, you know, you never look bad and never look stupid. It's the ability to put yourself in a situation where you might look stupid or admitting your ignorance in a certain regard and not feel like that reflects badly or poorly on you. To have the confidence
when I do that?
Yes. I don't know. I don't know what that word means, or I know a lot of other stuff. I'm a pretty smart dude. I have a lot of things I can talk about that you don't know about, but I don't know about this one thing. So why don't you tell me? How about I'm not the authority in this situation? And it came around again in 2016 when I would be talking to friends, and I've always been political. You know, all through high school, I was very political, very conservative. All my friends knew this. They all knew that I cared about things that they didn't care about. I read InfoWars. I watched Alex Jones. I read white papers. I did all that stuff. They didn't. Then 2016 comes around, and instead of sort of having the humility or just confidence to say to me, hey, you know about this stuff, like, well, what do you think? And then sort of listening to me, they were trying to tell me things, and they don't know anything. They don't know anything about it. And it was always strange to me because, like, I don't really watch football. I don't care about football. And so it's so bizarre to me to think that I would maybe go into a conversation about a football team and be condescending and arrogant and say, you don't know what you're talking about. I know everything I'm talking about. Let me tell you about who's the best quarterback. Let me tell you about the tight end. Let me tell you about all. I don't know. So here are my friends who, they know a lot about sports. I don't know a lot about sports. They don't know a lot about politics. I know a lot about politics. And yet, when it gets to the political realm, in 2016 especially, there was this, like, I don't even know what, like, assumption that they knew things without actually having to learn anything. That they just share the mainstream media, and they were instantly super well informed, better informed than anybody else, and would talk down to me like I didn't know what I was talking about. And I would just have to look at them and go, really? You know that I know more about this than you, right? Like, you get that. Like, if the positions were reversed, I'm trying to talk down to you about the Texans offensive line. Wouldn't it be kind of ridiculous? Wouldn't that be kind of silly? Wouldn't that be kind of ridiculous for me to pretend like I know more than you about this thing that I don't study? And so there actually is a distinct sort of combination between arrogance and ignorance, and that if you don't know something and you're ashamed about that, or you're embarrassed about it, or you feel like it's a personal, you feel shame, you feel embarrassed. Like the example that 𝙄𝙉𝙁𝙊𝕎𝔸 brought up about opening the doors in the Capitol. To me, as a humble person, as somebody that doesn't feel arrogant, doesn't feel better than anybody else, understands that every single person in the world has knowledge I don't have and that I can learn from. And even things I study, I might be missing something. I may be missing an aspect that explains things I have questions about. Maybe I'm speculating about something, and somebody can come along and say, well, here's the answer, right? Then I change my mind. And I quote all the time the Winston Churchill quote, I'd rather be right.
I guess you did a good job, right? Is that good?
Which is the opposite of what an arrogant,
I mean, as long as it's not like a crying, like, as long as it's not a crying, like,
if I believe that January 6th was an insurrection,
that's probably a good one.
No
probably good.
aspect of it that could be
Sometimes
considered
you gotta make it proud. Not like not in a harmful way or anything, but like
police opening the door and high-fiving protesters walking in. I've never seen that footage before. I'm gonna change my mind. I'm gonna go, oh, wow, this is evidence I hadn't seen before. Maybe this was an inside job. Maybe this was sort of coordinated. Maybe this wasn't as bad as I thought.
Fuck, man.
Like, I'd be embarrassed to continue to believe the thing that was just disproven. But to these people, to the arrogant people, the people whose self-importance and self-image is paramount in their own conception of who they are and their identity, they have to outright reject evidence that's contrary to the position that they hold, because that shatters their self-importance, arrogance, condescension. It shows how ridiculous it is. So it explains a lot.
I mean, that's wax, right? That's not live resin. I mean, live resin I usually had was white. It looked like Coke, actually. It was pretty. Well, no, actually, you know what?
Causation.
That wasn't.
They're going to be more ignorant. They're going to be more arrogant. The more arrogant they are, the more ignorant they are, and vice versa. And I think that's something that we
you're cooking right now, so
extremely well. If I can pat ourselves on the back, not in an arrogant way, but in a
AKA Taco Bell.
That I know. Me, Owen, Chase, Alex, everybody that works here is perfectly willing to be shown information that's contrary to our beliefs and will change our minds. We'll try to incorporate it somehow, right? We'll say, okay, this is new evidence. This is a new puzzle piece that needs to fit into the image that I'm crafting. Otherwise, the image is wrong. The puzzle piece is out of place. And
how is it 3-0, bro?
So I'd rather be right than consistent. And if I'm presented with information that's contrary to what I believe, I will change my belief. Because the evidence, not ignore it or arrogantly or condescendingly disregard it. to make myself feel better. And I really think that's what's kept InfoWars so correct about everything for so long.
Where is this guy going? What the fuck are you doing?
Assume something about an
What a fucking retard,
saying something's an inside job, and then we're
Why the hell are you on the wrong side of the goddamn?
We go,
oh,
okay,
get the fuck out of here.
cool, that explains
Get me
that
the fuck
bit,
out
and
of
then
here,
we
bro.
move on.
You're so
And that's,
fucking bad.
Just like everything. And then try to embody the opposite. So if our enemies are ignorant and arrogant, then we're going to be humble and informed.
You're going to be humble pie.
You can do that at InfoWars.com.
You're going to be humble pie.
Anybody that's paid attention to InfoWars and what we do knows we're at the center of the zeitgeist. We literally beat ourselves to death to be as accurate as we can, unlike the corporate-controlled dinosaur media that lies on purpose. Well, they're lying to you about today's news. We're telling you the truth about what's coming next. So I am fully focused on being as accurate and researched and truthful as I can and let the chips fall where they may. So when I bring you a product, and all our products are incredible, and I tell you it's game-changing, and quite frankly, you should be careful. You can take it to the bank. I want you, particularly those on the fence that never got the product at InfoWarsStore.com, to go to InfoWarsStore.com, and I want you to get foundational energy. You can take X2, the cleanest iodine out there, goes right in your cells, takes 2 weeks to kick it on average, then you're sold. And it's great. And it's the same level as this with cellular function. But this is the missing link. This is the breakdown product. Most people's cells have problems doing it. Some people have major problems doing it. But methylfolate is the breakdown of folic acid. And then you give it B complex that's organic. It supercharges it like nitrous oxide in a funny car or a drag racer. So this is already all the rage, the cellular methylfolate, but this has the B complex. It's the highest quality, and it funds the InfoWar. So you can buy methylfolate somewhere else, so it's great. But this funds the InfoWar, so it's a 360 win. Get your foundational energy and experience it, and be careful. Only take one at first. I took one today. I'm climbing the walls for the last 10 hours. I'm shooting this ad at night. I mean, it's not a stimulant, folks. It's cellular energy. You add stuff like Turbo Force or X2 or stuff to this, it's crazy. Get your foundational energy with B Complex now at InfoWarsStore.com, and you will not be disappointed.
Matthew in Wisconsin, thanks for calling in. You're on the air.
Hey, I love you guys. First off and foremost, I need to pray for InfoWars. I want to pray 𝙄𝙉𝙁𝙊𝕄ᴍ, Jesus Christ the Messiah. Pray blessing and power upon InfoWars, Harrison Smith, but especially Owen Schroyer and Alex Jones right now. I love you guys, and also I need to plug. I need to plug your product, right? I got to admit, all right, I was on drugs. I was on heroin. I was on meth. I was on everything. And then all of a sudden I came across the first product I took was Brain Force. I was a tweaker. All I wanted to do was drugs, and I tried Brain Force, and I'm telling you what, it changed my life, all right? I started taking Brain Force. That was the first product I bought. Then I got everything else. I'm off the drugs. All I do is take InfoWars. I can't even pull up all of them. I take them all right now instead of drugs. They're so much better. I'm telling you, it changed my life. If you haven't tried them, you need to try them today.
When it comes to regaining energy, convenience is key. Sure, coffee, candy, and other highly sugar-filled products can give us a short boost, but the crash is always the strongest downside. That's why our team of scientists worked with the InfoWars crew to create a powerhouse mixable energy formula. Having Turbo Force Plus at work, home, in the car, or in your bag is the ultimate answer to a sluggish day. InfoWars tells you the truth about what's happening next. Visit InfoWars.com/show and share the link today. If you want to see the transmission, you are the resistance.
It's a Return of the Mac? Return of the night.
We have a lot of stuff still to talk about today, including the immigration crisis continues to swamp American infrastructure with literally tens of millions of foreigners. We're going to talk about the danger that voting poses to democracy, completely absurd. And we're going to talk about a lot of stuff, but I want to bring you this story. This just broke in Fort Worth. There's been a massive explosion in downtown Fort Worth. Fort Worth police declare major incident after possible mass casualty gas explosion.
Oh boy, there it goes.
Major incident.
There we go. Here we go, everybody. Buckle up. Motherfuckers don't waste no time. Oh shit.
Absolutely massive explosion. There's no information yet as to the extent of injury.
Oh shit. Fucking half the goddamn building was gone.
One CBS reporter on the scene said in a post on X, at least 10 patients mass casualty incident declared after possible gas explosion. The Sandman Hotel in Fort Worth. But that's speculation at this point. They're speculating it was a gas explosion, but that's not the only possibility. The only thing from the police is that it's a major incident and the people should avoid the downtown area, saying they'll share more details as they can confirm more information. Now, usually,
you can just tell if this is what they say. If they say what this is a gas leak and it's not on the news, on the mainstream news, then that's where you gotta worry.
We'll have a gas explosion because typically it's when somebody is out of the house and there's a gas leak,
gets
so
fucking,
the gas fills up the interior.
This is like a building,
and then a spark finally ignites it.
Fort Worth police declare
somehow, but you know this is the.
Is that residential or is that a business?
Natural gas or
propane. That's a business. Someone's gonna keep an oven on.
They don't actually have that pungent smell that we associate with gasoline or any of these things. That's actually a chemical that's added specifically so people can identify it and detect it when it's in the air. So typically, if there's a gas leak in a public building with lots of people going in and out,
it's a public building. No,
it would be.
Would you have the heat on?
Oh, I guess would smell it. Like gas around here. In order to have this level of explosion, right? Because what happens is you have a buildup of gas in the atmosphere within a home,
and then you would need a fucking spark.
When it ignites,
you would need a spark. Someone's not gonna smoke a cigarette inside the fucking place.
It has to fill up for a while. It has to be leaking
spark a cigarette. Where's there a spark gonna come from?
Before there's so much of the fumes in the air that it can actually ignite. So how this happened in a hotel lobby, which I think is what this building is. Well, I'm not entirely sure. It is the Sandman Hotel, yeah. So
it's a hotel
lobby.
It's a hotel lobby.
I guess we'll have to wait for more information to come out. I won't speculate too much on this. But it's a massive explosion.
Damn, look at that. The whole first floor,
out,
all the
windows
windows
knocked out. The whole front facade exploded. It reminds me, my immediate reaction
that's a public place. That's not even.
Think about the explosion that took place in Nashville, where the whole downtown blown up, and it just that story just sort of went away.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If it just goes away, if this thing just goes away.
Blowing up their RV. So we'll see. We'll see once this investigation takes place. It's a very strange occurrence.
And for all that, from the first floor, it's going to seep up to like the second floor, third floor, fourth floor.
Sort of a surprise that nobody died from this. At least hasn't been reported yet. One person has been reported in critical condition, and 10 others in the hospital. So there you go. That just broke minutes ago, so we don't have too much more information on that, but we'll bring it to you as we get it again.
Actually, you know what? If they do put this in the mainstream,
a little bit suspicious from the outset that a busy hotel lobby could fill up with gas without anybody noticing, to the extent that it leads to this massive sudden explosion. Very strange stuff. And of course, just the way I read news now, having been a part of InfoWars for so long and just having a critical eye anyway, it's like, all right, we don't know that nothing can be assumed here. What we know is what we see. There was an explosion at a Fort Worth hotel. That's all we really know. Could it have been gas? Yes, it's an option. But there's been no evidence to suggest it, so we can kind of disregard any claims about the cause of this. All we know is that there was an explosion. We can speculate as to what might have been the cause of it. And even if it does turn out to be a gas explosion, just pure mismanagement of the infrastructure there, or whatever it may be, it still seems to point to an overall trend that we've reported here, which is just the competency crisis. And again, we don't know whether, I don't know whether I'm seeing more stuff now as sort of confirmation bias. Maybe I'm looking for it more, but not seeing it as much. Or so I am seeing it as more because I'm looking for it, or whether there really is an increase in these types of occurrences, which aren't directly related to one another, in the sense that it's not one crime group going around causing explosions here and train derailments there, but it is part of an overall process that America seems to be going through, where we can't keep up our infrastructure. A report just came out saying something that like 95% of the bridges in America are overdue for replacement. I don't know if the crew can find that. It was a story this weekend. An official accounting of all of the bridges and infrastructure in America. And something like 90% of the bridges are sort of beyond their expiration. They should have been replaced before now, but need to be replaced. And whether it's the train derailments, and again, last year, it sort of started with the East Palestine, Ohio derailment. That was the big one where everybody started paying attention. But it was like every day there were train derailments. And it's like, does this just happen all the time? We don't notice it. Now that we're looking for it, we're seeing this problem, but really it's no different than it always was. Or is there an increase in train derailments? And I guess unless you actually get into the details on all of this, so here it is, Report Card for America's Infrastructure, Overview of Bridges. There are more than 617,000 bridges across the United States. Currently, 42% of all bridges are at least 50 years old, and 7.5 of the nation's bridges are considered structurally deficient, meaning they're in poor condition. 178 million trips are taken across these structurally deficient bridges every day.
Yeah,
and it just goes on and on and on.
Hundreds of billions of dollars somewhere else. We can't wondering
where that 80% is. We need to increase spending on bridge rehabilitation from $14.4 billion. 1 in 3 bridges in America needs repair or replacement.
Stop. 1 in 3 bridges.
That's not good.
Not good.
It's not good. And so there's so many things that are here. Did we find it? 222,000 spans need repair, including 76,600 bridges that should be replaced. 42,000 are rated in poor condition and classified as structurally deficient. 42,000 bridges in America. But hey, Ukraine and Israel need our billions, right?
Yeah, they do.
We've got wars to wage. Who's got time to keep up our infrastructure? And I've said forever, since before I even worked in port, there's not going to be a collapse in the generally understood sense.
What a bum.
Let me caveat that. That might happen. There might be a sunspot that wipes out electrons. There might be an EMP attack that destroys everything. There might be a fake cyber attack that takes down the financial institutions and destroys the banking system and shuts down. That could happen. It could. The likelihood is very low, but that's always a possibility. What is much, much more likely is we are probably about 25% through the collapse that will continue indefinitely for decades. And you can point to a place like South Africa where this has taken place, where by deviating from the norm of a meritocracy and just the government doing what it's supposed to do in terms of keeping people safe and keeping the infrastructure collapsing and killing everybody, all of that is less important than social objectives and projects and policies that are there to serve certain groups for their personal enrichment. And slowly but surely, the bridges will wear down, the roads will wear down. When you go to get on a plane, it's just going to be that much more dangerous, just more close calls, more
grabbing his balls.
Planes literally falling apart in midair, like happened with the Air Alaska plane. This is the collapse. This is what it looks like. We are in it right now. And we're going to see more stuff like this gas explosion in Fort Worth, where it's just not everything's being taken care of. Not everything is up to snuff. Somebody's dropping the ball here, covering themselves there. And you might not be able to directly connect it, but there is a connection between all of these, and it's the collapse that we're going through.
I want to talk to you about something that is incredibly important. And there's so much chatter and so much stuff being said in the media and culture. People are overwhelmed with information. I am too. And so when I say this is important, it really is important. The #1 cause of viral infection and replication, look it up yourself, is lack of vitamin D3. And people don't produce vitamin D in the winter because you're not getting sun. Your skin produces it in the summer. That's the best time. A lot of people don't have good absorption in the gut. There's also genetic issues where you don't absorb the vitamin D3 you get in some foods. So you take it under the tongue and let it sit there for a minute. You absorb it directly into the bloodstream. And you want to be healthy and you don't want to get sick. This is one of the #1 things you can do to mitigate that and statistically make it a lot less of a chance that's going to happen, or if you do get sick, that it's not going to be as intense. That's what the literature, the research information shows. Vitamin D3 is essential. Winter Sun has not been available for a year because of funds, the supply chain breakdowns, and it's the highest quality in the country. It's finally back, 40% off. It funds the InfoWar, so it's a 360 win to get the product yourself or family, give us a gift, neighbors, and even if you don't get it from us, get organic vitamin D3. Make sure it's on the synthetic type, okay? But it's a win-win to get it from us because you know it's the highest quality and it funds the InfoWar. Winter Sun, back in stock, 40% off, and going into the new year, we're going to extend free shipping and double Patriot points, but only for a week or so. So take advantage of this sale and a bunch of other stuff on sale at InfoWarsStore.com right now. We have our big New Year's blowout sale to 60% off. We're extending all the big savings of Christmas. That's the good news. The bad news is more than half our products are about to sell out. So if you want Body's Ultimate Turmeric Formula or X2 or any of these, they're selling out. Get them now, InfoWarsStore.com.
While other networks lie to you about what's happening now, InfoWars tells you the truth about what's happening next. InfoWars.com/show. If you are receiving this transmission, you are.
Outpost on the front lines of the information battlefield. War Room with Harrison Smith. Yeah, so it's like frogs in that quickly boiling pot of water. We are in the collapse. It's just happening slowly. It's just happening all at once. This isn't a 24-hour collapse, maybe a 24-year collapse.
So it's like a 24-hour collapse, dude.
And if nothing's done to reverse this trend, the collapse itself is inevitable. We still have a lot to talk about in this last hour of the War Room. I'm going to open up phone lines for your calls as well.
I should have called in.
Number to dial, if you want to call in, is 1-877-789-2539. That's 1-877-789-2539. Just since we're on the topic of the collapse, here's just a couple examples. First, and we'll relate this to some of the other goings-on in the military world, including the failure of the defense secretary to let anybody know he was in the hospital for 4 days. Even his deputy was unaware and was on vacation at the time. We'll talk about an interesting twist in that case. I know a lot of people are covering it and sort of saying, yeah, this represents sort of the incompetence that's going on. It represents the just haphazard manner that the Biden administration conducts itself. But there's another important aspect to consider with this, in that we're going to look at some of the things that took place while our defense secretary was out of commission and ask who it was that gave those orders. If the person who legally should be giving those orders was incapacitated, who is the one directing our attacks against things like militia leaders in Iraq? Well, we'll get into that, and this sort of ties into it. Minuteman III missiles are too old to upgrade anymore, Stratcom chief says. The aging Minuteman III intercontinental ballistic missiles that have formed the land-based leg of the nation's nuclear deterrent triad for half a century can no longer be upgraded and require costly replacements, Admiral Charles Richard, head of U.S. Strategic Command, said Tuesday. He said we cannot life extend to Minuteman III any longer. And they also say that we don't even know how it works anymore.
So,
it's very strange. He says we can't do it at all. The thing is so old that in some cases the drawings don't exist anymore to guide upgrades.
wow.
Richard said in a Zoom conference,
We got all this technology, we got all this AI.
they don't have the blueprint drawing, technical schematic for these missiles. They don't even have the plans anymore, so they can't work off the plans to upgrade these things. They say where the drawings do exist, they're like 6 generations behind the industry standard.
What?
He said, adding that there's also no technicians who fully understand them. They're not alive anymore.
Wow.
Quote, they're not alive anymore.
This sounds like a Bill Gates shit.
So we have the triad of nuclear deterrence. One of the main legs of that is our intercontinental land-based launching systems for nuclear warheads. And the head of U.S. Strategic Command, Admiral Charles Richard, is saying there's nobody even alive that understands the engineering behind these missiles. This is crazy and extremely dangerous. Extremely bizarre that this is the case, but I believe it.
InfoWars.
But how's that for collapse? How's that for collapse? That we are trusting our national security to systems, people running it don't even understand how they work. It sort of reminds you of the Colonial Pipeline shutdown that took place when there was a cyber attack. May have come from inside the house, right? May have been an inside job. We never actually got to the bottom of that, sort of swept under the rug. But you remember there was a very easy fix to repair the Colonial Pipeline, just nobody knew how to do it. The physical capability of doing these things without the assistance of a computer, nobody had the knowledge anymore. And so gas prices exploded, it was a major crisis. We couldn't get this pipeline back online, but it would have been extremely easy if it had been 50 years ago, because the people that built it could just go in and manually do it, but nobody had that knowledge anymore. So we're like living in a civilization where we're operating technology without even understanding how it works. Like,
we got all this AI shit, all this technology, and we still can't.
Understand the science behind it.
We're just 6 generations behind on
Ladies
this
and
technology.
gentlemen,
That's
it's
fucking
happening.
crazy.
2 years in the making. We didn't plan it like this because we didn't know. To release Alex Jones' New World Order Wars, that's all about fighting Epstein and Clinton and Hillary and the deep state and the pedo rings. Whole levels just dealing with that, because that's the truth how they operate. And now the game went on Steam, the biggest online platform of video games in the world. 150 million users a week, and it already shot to #1. So find the link to Steam at alexjonesgame.com or search Alex Jones New World Order Wars at Steam and get it for yourself. It's got an incredible 97% reviews. We'll put the link to Steam on screen and to alexjonesgame.com. Get it. We are taking back the culture. We are taking things back. Funding InfoWar, going into the election the next 10 months. Don't let me fail if we don't take action. Get New World Order Wars by Alex Jones now.
The War Room with Harrison Smith is where the shields of truth are forged in the fires of inquiry.
Welcome back, folks. Before we got to your calls, just to finish up about the collapse that we're going through. What better thing to point to than the airlines? Something we've been covering for the last year or more. The number of near misses that have occurred at airports in the United States is almost unimaginable. I mean, massively up over the last year. Instances that hardly get reported outside of the local area where they occur. Not a lot has been reported on in the trend.
I got like three microphones, 3 speakers like on my head right now.
You've got pilots making split-second decisions to do stuff in contradiction to what they're being told by the tower, right? The tower says you're clear to land, and then the pilot, last second, sees that another plane is taxiing onto the runway, having also been cleared to use it to take off, and has to pull up, and narrowly avoids a catastrophic disaster. And this has been going on for a while, to the extent that the FAA had an emergency meeting to address this a few months ago. It's just another symptom of the competency crisis, the inability for us to operate the systems, the legacy systems that we've inherited, and not by accident, right? Not because people are just dumber now or anything like that. It is directly tied to the drive for diversity, for ESG, and we got into this a little bit, but BlackRock plans to lay off 600 employees. About 3% of its global workforce is being laid off, and it's almost entirely in the ESG program, which never should have even gotten off the ground in the first place. When you're giving somebody your hard-earned money, and they're saying, okay, we're going to invest this in companies that have the highest percentage of gay people on the board, it's like, what are you talking about? Shouldn't you be investing based on returns, profitability, things that actually matter? No, they're going to direct their investment dollars based on the ethnic or gender composition of the board of a company. It's absurd, it's ridiculous, but it also means that companies are then massively incentivized not to hire the best people, but to hire people who are in line with the ESG desire of so-called diversity. And so you're going to be hiring or promoting people that aren't qualified for the job. It's pretty obvious. And you can almost, it's like time and time again you can do this, where there's some article, like this one, Boeing CEO pledges a 20% increase in black employees. And this was from, I think, maybe 2 years ago, something like that. And directly correlated to Boeing planes falling out of the sky, Boeing planes falling apart in midair. That's just happened over the last weekend. And it sort of happens over and over again. And the reason that we need to talk about this and shouldn't feel shy about talking about this is because they're the ones who are celebrating these changes. They're the ones who are saying, look how great it is that we fired all the white guys and hired all non-white guys. Aren't we amazing? Aren't we great? Look at how virtuous we are. And then everything gets worse. They're the ones celebrating it. They're the ones making a big deal out of, the ethnic composition of who they're hiring. So when it turns out that everything gets worse, we need to talk about it. We need to bring it up and discuss it. That's not even to say that, white guys are the best and everybody else is inferior. The point is, if you're hiring for anything other than merit, you're setting yourself up for failure. There's a bridge collapse, a pedestrian bridge collapse in Florida a couple years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I think it was in 2020. And it was a big celebration. We're gonna, open this new bridge, and the company that built the bridge, their whole thing was that they had women engineers. Like, they wrote article after article, and all these things
I should probably spell real quick.
Diverse and female-led their engineering company was, and then the bridge collapsed. Or you can look at Houston, where you had the entire crop of county-level judges were, like, majority old white dudes that have been in those positions for years and have been fine. And then, sort of as a long tail effect of the push to try to oust Ted Cruz and get Beto O'Rourke arrested, you had a huge push for turnout in Houston of minority groups, and they elected nothing but black women to be judges. And there are all these articles saying, isn't this wonderful, isn't this great? Finally, Houston elected 20 black female judges. What a victory this was. Followed, 2 years later, by, crime out of control in Houston. Criminals running rampant. Everybody's getting let out. Everybody's getting...
Sounds like somebody blew your high.
Us sitting here going, it's because you hired black women. But it's like, if you're going to sit there and celebrate a push for diversity, then you have to back that up with a positive outcome. And if the outcome is hugely negative, then you need to eat crow. You need to sort of understand that it's your choice to hire based on gender and race that led us to this point.
It's a new day.
And so Boeing has been like one of the primary companies that has been extremely outspoken about their drive for diversity. And now they're having planes quite literally fall apart in midair. And we have a video of this too. We can play it, clip number 4 as B-roll. It's from inside the Alaska Airlines flight as the door popped off mid-flight. There's a huge gaping hole in the side of the fuselage as they make an emergency landing. I mean, what? Like the plane fell apart? The door just fell off in midair? Yeah, the door just fell off in midair. And actually they knew about this. FAA orders 737 MAX jets to be grounded following Alaska Airlines blowout. Boeing stocks have plummeted after they grounded the 737 MAX
What's this guy doing, bro?
Plane. But also before that, Boeing MAX 9 plane had been barred from long flights over the water. Alaska Airlines restricted the use of the plane, which lost part of its fuselage on Friday because of the warning light that went off on previous flights.
What's the part?
In Alaska Airlines, the Boeing 737 MAX 9 jet lost a chunk of its fuselage shortly after takeoff. The crew cited a mid-air pressure problem.
Wait, what?
But apparently they've been warned about this. There was a warning light that went off.
Oh yeah, apparently there's been planes like coming like close to like hitting each other.
The board's chairwoman said it was too soon to say whether the issue had played a role in the Friday incident, which led to the grounding of
because the female pilots were saying
MAX 9 planes in the United States. It's certainly a concern, and it's one we want to dig into, as Hamidi said at the news conference in Portland, Oregon. Yeah, it's a bit of a concern. Because it's a bit of a concern when your part of your plane just falls off in midair.
You said
you might want to look into that. I agree. She said Alaska Airlines maintenance workers have been instructed to determine why the warning light had repeatedly gone off, but the work was not done before the flight on Friday. Instead, Ms. Hamidi said, workers reset the system and the plane was put back into service, though the airline restricted it from being used on flights to destinations like Hawaii.
How does it get baked?
So, you know, if you were on this flight, then you've been directly affected by the competency crisis, as incompetent and unqualified people are put into extremely important positions where your safety and life may hang in the balance of their ability to deal with emergency situations that they may not be qualified for. But even if you weren't influenced by this, if you were flying somewhere this week and were delayed because there were no planes in the air, because 171 of them had to be grounded because of this mistake, well, in your life has just become that much more inconvenient because of this process.
Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished. Intercontinental missile systems that we apparently don't understand and don't even have the schematics so that we could improve and make changes, or whether it's airlines that are hiring not based on merit, but are hyper concerned on increasing the number of black people they have working for them, and as a result you have airplanes either narrowly missing each other or literally falling apart in midair.
Let's do that. Fuck!
It's the competency crisis, so I was say, we can fix this, we just go back to the way it was before and everything will be fine.
Anybody that's paid attention to InfoWars and what we do knows we're at the center of the zeitgeist. We literally beat ourselves to be as accurate as we can. Unlike the corporate-controlled dinosaur media that lies on purpose. Well, they're lying to you about today's news. We're telling you the truth about what's coming next. So I am fully focused on being as accurate and researched and
why are you out of the goal?
All they make. So when I bring you a product, and all our products are incredible, and I tell you it's game-changing, and quite frankly, you should be careful. You can take it to the bank. I want you, particularly those on the fence that never got the product at InfoWarsStore.com, to go to InfoWarsStore.com, and I want you to get foundational energy. You can take X2, the cleanest iodine out there, goes right in your cells, take 2 weeks to kick on average, then you're sold. and it's great, and it's same level as this with cellular function. But this is the missing link.
Bro, that's not just no genetics. That's social angst and fucking what goes on media. Like, that's all psychological operations that governments play.
Supercharges it like nitrous oxide in a funny car or a drag racer. So this is already all the rage with the cellulomethylfolate, but this has to be complex. It's the highest quality, and it runs the InfoWar. So you can buy methylfolate somewhere else, so it's great. But this runs the InfoWar, so it's a frequency win. Get more foundational energy and experience it, and be careful. Only take one at first. I took one today. I'm climbing the walls for the last 10 hours. I'm shooting this ad at night.
So you're saying you're trying to be a MILF?
It's not a stimulant, folks. It's cellular energy. You add stuff like Turbo Force or X2 or stuff of this, it's crazy. Get your foundational energy with B-Complex now at InfoWarsStore.com, and you will not be disappointed. I'm not on Team Tennis. I'm not on Team NCS. I'm not on Team Olympics. I'm not on Team Global or wokeism in the New World Order. I'm on
Come on, bro. Where the fuck is this guy, bro? What the fuck?
Loves humanity and knows that we're destined to do even more incredible things that we've already done together. And so, inspired by my conversation with Elon Musk recently, he agreed with my idea called Team Humanity. We've launched 2 limited edition t-shirts at InfoWarsStore.com. Let people know that, hey,
I'm like holding him the fuck down.
It's about Team Humanity
being
under globalist attack. You can wear it, it's a great conversation starter, and you know it's supporting the InfoWar that is at the very tip of the spear in the fight for Team Humanity.
Come on, bro. Yo, you fucking this guy.
InfoWarsStore.com. I thank you.
Many Gothamites die.
What?
Brings this information.
You can see the Great Awakening, the Great Reset. Although 50 population systems of the Great Reset are not yet fully operational, the Great Reset does have a strong conspiracy network. It is protected by a satanic shield, which can be disabled by the Great Awakening. The Great Reset must be deactivated if any victory for humanity is to be accomplished. Once the Great Awakening deactivates the shield, Infowars.com/show will cover the truth, while Info Warriors fly into the superstructure
you bad as
to knock out the Great Reset. Alex
you never
Jones
defend.
has volunteered to lead the fighter attack. Get a signed copy of the Great Awakening today at InfoWarsStore.com. If you are receiving the transmission, you are the resistance.
Motherfucker. Mother sucker.
Alright, welcome back, folks. We're going to go out to your phone calls this segment. We got a lot of people calling in about the debates on Saturday. Maybe we'll go to them first. But I do want to remind you that everything we do here at InfoWars is brought to you entirely by you, the American people. You go to InfoWarsStore.com and purchase any of our fantastic products. You can rest easy knowing that you are supporting this singular outlet for free speech, the American way, all of the wonderful things that we see being eroded in the overall culture. We are keeping that flame of civilization alive. Your help at InfoWarsStore.com. There's only 1 day left to take advantage of the mega super sales. A lot of these products are actually already selling out. You have to act now if you want to get up to 60% off plus free shipping and double Patriot points on our top selling products, including 𝙄𝙉𝙁 X2, the Ultra 12 Down and Out, Bazo Beats, DNA Force Plus, Brain Force Plus, Brain Force Ultra, Turbo Force Plus, and of course the delicious coffee. I mean, there's something for everybody at InfoWarsStore.com. Best of all, you know that you are helping to support, as I said, not just an outlet that has proven out that it's the real deal, survived all of the attacks, but it's gaining a momentum right now that is really exciting. Like getting back on X, and now we're streaming on X, with everybody watching us there. To the video game going to #1 on Steam, you have anybody in your family that likes video games, each purchase on Steam. Steam has a function where you can buy a game for anybody else. Like you go to purchase and it says, is this game for me or for someone else? You say someone else, you type in their Steam name, you can send them this, and it just pops up on their computer. It's like the easiest gift to give ever. Extremely fun, extremely affordable, and actually going bonkers. I mean, it's very popular. It's very popular and has extremely high quality ratings.
What happens to the
So it's
Spidey
fun for
outfit?
everybody, and we really are gearing up, gearing up for 2024, gearing up for this presidential campaign to really get going. We need to not slack in and not rest on our laurels and say, well,
we're not.
Look how well we're back on X. We've got this awesome video game. We can relax. No, now's the time to double down.
Can't hear
now's
me?
the time to
I said, where's the Spidey outfit?
Momentum that we have and really capitalize on it, and you can help us doing that. You can help us in doing that by going to InfoWarsStore.com. With that, we got to your phone calls.
I thought you was going to get waxy and Spidey.
People want to talk about the debate. Greg in California wants to talk about the debate from Saturday night. Thank you for calling in, Greg. You're on the air.
Hey, Harrison. Good job.
You got Bluetooth headphones?
Before I get to my point, briefly,
you used
to want to, if you were a coach officer, sit next to an emergency exit for conditional leg.
Oh, you have them on right now?
And
you sound far as shit from like the
having been a pilot, not a commercial pilot, but I've talked to many, I know many. It boggles my mind how an airplane manufactured an airplane that has ETOPS certified engines, ETOPS meaning extended transoceanic operations, etc. How all of that would go into that airplane, yet the airframe is unworthy for that mission. That boggles my mind, and that, I don't know. I'm almost thinking it goes beyond incompetence. It's almost like it's intended in a way.
To me, it seems like a cover-up type of thing, where it's like they know they should ground the plane, right? They know there's a problem. They know there's a warning light. They go, if we do that, then we're going to have to cancel this flight, and that's going to cost us some money, and then I'm going to look really bad because, I can't make these flights happen, and we're going to lose money on that. So we'll just cover it up and maybe just push off the problem to the next crew that has to handle it, right? Sort of, it reeks to me of sort of self-preservation of whoever was in charge of this, trying to just, literally slap tape on it. I was on a flight, they took us off and went, there's a problem with the windshield, we can't fly it. And then they come out with this, they call it flight tape. They're literally taping our plane together before we get on. That happened to me last year. So it's like these little patches, these little fixes for like, we'll just fix it so we can get this flight done. I think it's like, it's that compounded, different iterations of people all sort of do the patch and don't, we don't want to stop the flight, so just do what you have to get it in the air. And then it, culminates in this disaster. So yeah, troubling stuff, man.
Right, that speed tape is actually used quite a bit.
Right.
It's just unnerving when you see it unravel. But anyway, getting back to the point, the debate with Dust Bunny. I kind of think that he's an intel plant, and there are several reasons why I believe that. One is that he talks with machine gun speed bullet points as if he's in a race with the Gilmore Girls to finish a sentence. And that's a known capturing type of thing. The other thing, I could not believe what he told who was the reporter down in Brazil again. Greenwald. Glenn. Yeah. I could not believe that he told him, what are you doing reporting on things that happened in the past? If you're a responsible reporter, you're reporting on what's going on now. Okay? And then some of the other stuff, which Owen brought up, that he just pulled out of thin air. Like when Alex asked, were there any weapons there? Oh yeah, there were. There were 2 guys with ARs out, outside of the perimeter, and then there was a guy with a pistol on the Capitol steps. I never heard that. Did you ever hear of those 3 people?
No, I think they would have made a big deal out of that if that had happened.
Exactly.
Oh, son of a bitch.
So, there's...
Hot damn.
These are signs of people, I believe, operatives, who intend to completely try to reprogram us. To brainwash us, reprogram us, whatever. And I'm 95% sure that Sonny is an operative. I'm 200% sure that if he is one, he
living in a lonely world.
To babysit my
Took
kids.
him in a train going in.
I don't think he's an operative. I get how you would get that impression. I think, Owen pointed out it's arrogance and ignorance, and I actually have personal experience with this. And let's just be clear, if you don't know who Destiny is, ignorance is kind of his thing. Actually, recently there's been a bunch of videos going around where he can't tell Israel from Turkey on a map. He doesn't know where anything is. He thought that Kevin McCarthy was Joseph McCarthy at some point, where he doesn't know the difference between these. He doesn't really know that much stuff, but he's extremely arrogant. I actually debated Destiny. It's the only debate I've ever done. We did it live at the at Ethan Ralph's 𝙄𝙉𝙁𝙁 bowling event a couple years ago, and it was about globalism. And I was arguing against globalism, and I was trying to explain to Destiny that, the World Economic Forum exists. There's these people that are out there that are trying to create a one-world government. They talk about it, and they explain it, and he just never heard of that. He just didn't think that was real. And was just like, oh, you're making that up. It was like, dude, there's video. This is public. They published their meeting notes. This is just what's happening. But he had no idea, and he refused to acknowledge that was a thing, and just pretended like it didn't exist. And that's the way he does it. That's the way he operates. And if he doesn't know it exists, he pretends it doesn't. And he moves on.
He just calls it a conspiracy theory until it becomes real, and then you're like, oh, sure.
InfoWars tells you the truth about what's happening next. Visit InfoWars.com/show and support the InfoWars.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've got some really good news. We're extending the Christmas sales from the end of 2023 into early 2024. Double Patriot points, store-wide free shipping, and all of the products are on massive sale, up to 60% off. Winter Sun, the highest quality organic vitamin D3 to boost your immune system, so critical. 40% off, free shipping, Double Patriot points. Some of our best-selling products are 60% off. We're losing money on those. Please support the InfoWars today. Now, here's the bad news. More than half of our best-selling, high-quality products are about to sell out. We'll have to order new ones. It'll take 3 to 6 months because they're high quality to come back in. So if you want these amazing products, Turbo Force, Brain Force Plus, 𝙄𝙉𝙁𝙁, or Body's Ultimate Turmeric Formula, HCU Transfus, X2 is about to sell out. It's going to sell out for over a year. That won't come in for at least 3 months. So if you want X2, if you want Winter Sun, if you want these products, they are all selling out, including our high-quality Patriot products. Hundreds and hundreds of products on the site. Books, films, t-shirts, everything are up to 60% off, except for our new fundraising t-shirt, which Team Humanity, that Elon Musk and I coined the term. That's a fundraiser for InfoWars, so that's got a little bit of a premium on it. Please get that shirt, support the InfoWars. Take action now on the products are still in stock. Double Patriot points, free shipping. You'll find them all at InfoWarsStore.com. It's part of the 2024 January New Year's mega sale. Thanks for keeping us on the air. Plus, these are great products that will enrich and empower your life.
If I was the deep state and I wanted to destroy America, I would rig the election with a puppet candidate. One that was so compromised that they would never say a word about it. I would create a false flag that allows for mail-in ballots. I would be in charge of the ballot counting machines. I would create a false flag to blame all who question the results of the election. If I was the deep state, I would prosecute anyone that went against me. I would sue and prosecute anyone that spoke up about the fraudulent election. I would use my powers to shut down all your internet businesses and bankrupt you. If I was the deep state, I would make everyone an example why you should never question a Democrat ever winning an election. I would imprison my foes. I would use my corrupt DAs and blackmail judges to disrupt
Oh, drink there.
I would make sure all crimes I ever committed never happened. I would prosecute my biggest competition. I would make sure they could never run for office ever again. If I was the deep state, I would convince everyone that Ukraine Nazis were good and women are men. If I was the deep state, I would own every politician that mattered. If I was the deep state, I would push my pedophilia ambitions on you. If I was the deep state, you'd question your sexual identity but not the medical establishment. If I was the deep state, you would fear to ever resist me. If I was the deep state, you would wish I was really the devil. If I was the deep state, I would say mission accomplished.
Actually, you know what?
Tomorrow I will be back here on the War Room. Tomorrow, and all the way through Thursday, and I'll be back on American Journal on Friday. But we'll just cover this quickly because I know Chase did a X exclusive on this. You can find at Chase Geyser, and that is the mysterious and very concerning hospital stay of Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin.
Yeah. On this secretary hospital state court where secretary is also being involved with you guys to protect his privacy after he no longer needed to be there. Oh boy. That's fun. We've been there for fucking 30 years. Now they want to get us out. Because we're weak. You serious? Oh man, I hope you get my shit, bro, please.
What we know about the U.S. strike that killed Iraqi militia leader in Baghdad, U.S. assassination militia leader in Baghdad, U.S. assassination.